7 standard profiles at Image Design. That's something that we keep. It's readily available. Customers can call it, bring it in, ship it right back to them the next day. We can design and manufacture any level of rail, and part of our job is to make sure that it is compliant and that it meets the customer's needs. A couple things that I'll show you that are interesting. Everything that you see here are the rails that we carry. There is some ADA compliant rail up top, and then the different versions of rail that we do. I don't know if you guys are familiar with bending rail, but I always think this is neat to show people. When you see a curved stair, it is either cut on a CNC machine or bent and twisted on the stair. Rail comes out in matched profile pieces that are booked together and they're keyed. And what our guys do is tear this apart, easy enough, lay it down and glue each individual strip and then bend it to whatever it is that they're doing. And then after it dries, it becomes a piece of rail that you can see right behind you that's getting ready to ship out. That is a piece of bending rail that's been glued together and done. To give you an idea about how tight it is, you can glue it. It's real hard for you to tell the difference between that and a piece of solid with This is tooling up a molder cut in a different molder profile. When I was back, a different molder profile. This one's doing 11 pieces right here. So this represents about $10,000 in molder tooling just to run a piece of handrail. So if I have a customer that comes to us and says, I've got a $20 million house and I want this one-off rail profile, and when we get done I want you to destroy the knives because I don't want anybody to have what I have, which happens all the time, 4 or 5 times a year. At that point we're typically buying 3 tools and running it all on a CNC machine. Some 3-axis work, which you'll see here, and some 5-axis work out of Texas.
CNC is...
oh my God! Computer numerically control. I don't even remember.
Okay.
I'll look it up. I can't remember. CNC is a router that actually takes the computer program and does what it's told to cut out pieces of wood.
Okay.
And you got a clamp that will hold that once you set it in place.
Very good question. Actually, the 13th knife is the actual bending mold, and this is the reverse profile on the outside of a particular rail, like you can see right here. It has the bending mold on it. So these guys glue these pieces together, and this takes the rail to square, and they bend it,
and then take them off,
and then clamp it. And after a day, you undo it and clean all the glue off of it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll have one of these guys cut.
What kind of glue you use?
Type 1.
Type 1?
Type 1, yep. We actually use Type Bond as the brand, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Type 1 is Type 1.
No,
if it's outside, Type 3.
Contact adhesion?
It is not. It's Type 1 is an acrylic. I don't want to say it's aliphatic. It's just an acrylic. You know, it's just like yellow wood glue. It's just because we buy it from Type Bond. Once again, it's something that they control the method, so I know exactly what I'm getting. Yes, they use Type 1. Interior Type 1. Outside, you can do Type 2, Type 3. I would always do Type 3. Yeah, always. I would never use Type 2. But like I told you guys, we actually design and manufacture straight stairs, spiral stairs, some of which we buy from a distributor, some which we make right here in-house, like the sample up front, curves, ellipses, everything you can imagine. This is an iron spiral that goes to natural chemistry, broken down in kit form and ready to go. That actually will be a spiral whenever it gets done out. All of our tread and linear stuff comes in here. AutoCAD drawing is exploded into the component pieces. It is manipulated in a Mexoff program. So if you've ever heard of RhinoCam, we use a version that's real similar to RhinoCam, made by the same company called Mexoff. So that's actually what takes it. That's what takes a dimensional drawing and you specify in that program, and it turns it into G-code. And that G-code is then loaded in the machine and tells our router. We have a 3-axis router here on site that you'll see. It tells it what to do. So you'll see it running when we get over there. It'll get loud, but you'll know what it is. In fact, I'll tell you right now when you see it, that was the process that I was telling you guys where we break it down and then a CNC controlled router actually cuts that tread. You'll see it over here. It's really interesting because it cuts the tread, the return, the glue block, the stringer, every single component that goes in that is cut on a CNC machine. And it is either exactly right or exactly wrong. So it's real important that we get that right, and we do. And the stair actually, that creates not only the rise being correctly everywhere. So when I tell you it's the 7.688 rise, it needs to be that everywhere. We design the floor allowances in it. So if you were building a house right now and you said, I'm going 138 inches floor to floor, I'm going to do 3/4 hardwood on the bottom and 3/8 tile up top, I would take that into allowance. And when our stair came out, it would actually have the shim that sits it up 3/4. So when your hardwood runs underneath our stair, you have exactly 7.67, which happens to be the rise at 138, from your finished floor to the finished tread. And the same thing happens when you step off on the top. And everything that we did from there would be determined. Landing tread or nosing, as you guys know, it is a 3/4 inch material. Here, we make it whatever they want. Someone calls me and says, I'm using 7/16 pre-finished hardwood on the top stair for the top landing. They're going to get a landing tread with a profile of 7/16. And the stair won't fit if you put 3/4 on it. It'll be high right there. So we design all that into what we do. And you'll see a lot of that. If you're welcome to look around when we're done, and you'll see a lot of that. Why is there landing tread here that's not 3/4? That's the reason. We have a customer somewhere that specified something, and we'll bring 1,000 feet in and we'll ship it to him as he needs it. So, next section is the straight stairs. Straight stairs are not typically catted. They're usually, because they're just an easier process, the salesman will actually turn them in on a form that we have. It designates rise, run, top allowance, bottom allowance, where a short wall would go. So if you have a partial open stair like being built here, we calculate where that stair is going to go as far as how far the short wall is. Open side, if it's halfway open and halfway closed. That's a very good example of one, and so is this. Very important to us that you guys understand the construction process and how we're transferring load to this stringer and this stringer. This stringer is going to get screwed through the wall. Where's the structural compliance gentleman? Wanted to see structural compliance. This stringer is going to get screwed to the wall. This one's going to have a wall built underneath it to here. This gets screwed to the wall. Every single tread is married with glue and nails to the riser. And then we actually have a block that takes it from the top and is, as you guys can see, glued and nailed together. This is really, this is one component at this point. If you guys look at this and go, I don't know how that can be one component, I will gladly send you out to take one out. It's impossible. When someone calls us and says, we decided to change something and we would like you to modify the stair, 9 times out of 10 they get a new stair. It's just about impossible to deconstruct one of these once they're constructed. It's a one unit, about 450, 500 pounds right here.
So on your stairs, or just generally speaking, with normal box stairs being installed, is it the manufacturers that are installing them, or are they dropping them off and the framers are installing them? The reason I'm asking,
about 80% of our stairs we install. If we're not installing them, their framer is installing them, and we make sure they understand the liability associated with that.
So the attachment to the wall and the stop squeaks and where the stairs are tied into the studs and stuff, is there any secrets to make sure that you have squeak-free stairs and still properly supported?
We screw our stairs to the stud wall. So
the framers just don't nail it.
A lot of times they'll nail it, but some of the better ones will screw it. If you nail it, it's okay, as long as you make sure that you get good contact between the sheetrock stem, which is this, and the stud itself. You're always going to be in good shape. Even if you nail it, it's okay. So we send a stair out like this because, as you guys know, this is going to get a wall underneath it, and this gets sheetrock. It's hard to see it in this form, but if I stood it up, you'd see it. We send it out with a sheetrock strip already applied to it, so when the framer shows up and he starts drilling studs on it, it actually has a gap for the sheetrock vertically to go in. Everything fits, the trim works, everything works out if he just shoves it against the wood. If we did not send this out with a sheetrock strip, the framer would have the framing against the stringer. It's guaranteed that he wouldn't think to put a sheetrock strip in. So we send it out sheetrock ready. So
what kind of cost are we looking at in terms of both build and install for something like this? I mean, if there's
15,
14, 15?
15, 17, $100.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just say this is $1,500 partial open stair. If you paid a trim carpenter $500 or $600 to apply these and then bought the parts, probably really close to that. This is such a value engineered product because we can do it so cost effectively that to the builder it doesn't really cost them any more money, and they get a stair that really is much more uniform. But it's a solid piece.
You trim carpenter, he's a 2 or 3 man crew. That's all
Yes.
he's going to get. And he's going to
Yes, and this stair right here goes out, 3 guys will put it in, they'll be there an hour and a half. They'll be gone, and then they have a walkable stair. This one should have, see, that comes with tread covers and everything, so these guys can walk up and down this.
You know how to handle them. You know how to raise them.
That's correct.
You know how to brace them during attachment time.
And you guys know, if you send a trim carpenter out to do this on a framed, cut-in stair, he'd have 2 or 3 days in applying the risers and the treads and the cove mold and everything else. Our guys go out an hour later, they're back in business. Plumbers can run up and down it. Whoever they need to get up and down with their trade, they're ready to go.
Those 2x4s, is that just for in here, or does that stay on there?
This right here is, once again, just once they put this stair in, they're going to have a well hole. They're going to want a sheetrock underneath it. We supply this material for them to screw the sheetrock to. If they want to put it in when they can. Yes, sir.
When you mount these against concrete, what do you do for underneath them?
And when they go out on a concrete, when our salesman writes up the form, he says, oh, the bottom allowance is 3/4. Let's say it's going in the basement. He writes 3/4 PT, and instead of having a shim that, well, this one may in fact be.
So you can put PT on the
We'll
bottom.
put PT on the bottom. The LVL stringer that we buy is a treated product, so when it's 3/4 it'll come out like that, and that's treated, so that'll pass code as long as you were using the LVL. But let's say it's 1/4 of an inch. Let's say it's 0. A lot of unfinished basements are that way. We don't want an allowance, we're not going to finish it, but we're going to touch it on concrete. We actually will cut the stringer up 1/4 inch and then apply 1/4 inch of pressure treated material to it and send it out so it's compliant. The old, that's the latest evolution in stair manufacturing. At one time they used to just use tar paper.
Well, that's what I was saying. I wouldn't allow tar paper. I would allow poly underneath it. Just something to keep it from getting wet.
Something to keep it from, yeah, so you don't have contact. So, yeah, but we actually put a pressure treated shim on ours. It costs a little more, but you know, we don't have to worry about it. So. Okay, this is going to move us more into the customer curve section. There's a little small section with nothing going on. That's actually where Johnny makes custom parts. All of the wood that you see over here, and there's just about every species of wood you can imagine in that one rack, from antique heart pine to kumaru, red oak, white oak, you name it, it's probably over there to some degree. He makes the custom fittings and cylinders right there on that small table. In general, the way it works, once that CAD's broken down, the plywood and the tread blanks that we buy that look like this. That's all I'm here for, really. I want that job. That's all we do is raise your hand. I didn't hear that one. Yeah. Right now, Paul's going to set, it's taking a minute, but he's setting the origin of the machine. He's telling this machine what size material this is and basically where to start. The machine wants to know where 0, 0, 0 is, X, Y, and Z, 0. Once he sets that, it'll run the exact program. The program that he has looks like this blank with a cutout in it. Give him a minute to do it. This machine cuts all the stair components we have, so you'll see the different tooling that we use, and we're fortunate enough that this machine is new enough that it automatically comes down here and picks up a different tool, switches it out, and runs that program. So we'll have a blank that might have a tread, 2 returns, and cove mold on it, and you'll see the machine picking up and doing its thing. I don't know if that's going to happen with this. it looks like when he takes it off that machine, runs a laminate router around it, cuts it out, and it has it in pieces. That machine is cutting the tread and the corresponding return, like you see over there, to match that tread exactly. And there are a lot of times, on the one he happens to be cutting, the treads are all identical, so he'll have 13 identical treads and 13 identical returns. A lot of times, let's say it's an elliptical stair, tread number 1 is different from 2, 3, 4, 5, and the return that goes with it is different. That machine cuts them both so they fit. I would call that relatively close, so within a thousandth of an inch. They put it on, the only thing the machine doesn't do for us, and it can, we've just determined that it's more cost effective for us to do it and it looks better, it doesn't round the tread over. So these guys will bring it over here, use a hand router to route over both sides, and then that becomes a tread. They'll line them up over here. This is what the stringer looks like when it comes out of that machine. They come out in 4x8 quarter-inch pieces, and because they're going to screw it to this, it actually just puts a reference mark on this part. Then the inside stringer, wherever it may be, actually is cut out. Is it cut out yet? This one's going to be cut out. This pattern is the inside, okay, so that'll actually be cut out. The machine references where he's going to do his cutting. We don't cut all the way through the material on the machine. We leave what they call an onion skin layer on it. The reason for that is it keeps the integrity of the vacuum on it. If you actually cut through that tread right now, it lose vacuum, and it would sling that 60-inch tread as far as you want it to go. It always keep vacuum on the machine. That's I think an 11 horsepower router. The ones you use at home for the big, maybe 1 3/4 horsepower. So it'll cut just about anything and sling anything. You better. So once they do this, they'll actually form that stair with the stringer. I'm going to walk you guys around to this truck. Oh, that's that one third one. When we run the machine, it's just not the pretty parts that we run on. We run everything on it, including the glue block. This glue block holds and marries the stringer to the tread and the tread to the riser and the tread to the following riser. And it is cut on the machine to follow the exact radius that the stair does. So when it goes together, there's no gapping. It's a very precise system. I saw you guys looking at the strings. Yes. All 3 of these pieces. This started out life as the face piece that they can paint on as 1/4-inch radiata pine. It gets bent up and screwed and glued to the stringer, and then this is laminated a layer at a time to it. In a normal trim application, this marries to baseboard, which is 3/4 of an inch thick. So this is 1/4-inch piece of pretty stuff, radiata pine in this case, and 2 pieces of BC pine at 1/4 of an inch, shot, glued, and laminated.
This piece right here, if you lay that up and bend it, or you come through as a flat piece, and then have to apply the bend to it.
2 days ago, this piece, and half the pieces on that stair behind you were a 4x8 sheet of 1/4-inch plywood. You sit on that machine, and it cuts it exactly. And
But it's flexible.
It's 1/4-inch, so it'll flex. And they flex it and put it together, and then they screw and laminate to that. And that's actually bending ply. That's actually super flexible stuff right there. That is not this.
But that doesn't have the structural quality that
That's correct. That's why we don't typically use that.
No.
Bending ply would be used when radius is smaller than 18 inches. Everything else we can. One of the interesting things that you'll see is you would think that we would take this BC pine and run it through a table saw or the machine and just cut it out straight. It is not. It is cut. Whatever rate degree the stair is, it is cut. That's why you see the graining pattern of the BC pine going north and south on the stair. That's better structurally, and it's also easier for us to bend. If you take a piece of plywood and twist it, it'll twist no problem. It doesn't really bend well north and south or east and west.
But it will turn on a diagonal.
That's correct. So, for lack of a better term, you can apply torsion to it, and it's no problem. That's very typical of a box curve stair right here. Not an open where The open stair, hopefully, is going to go get put in a house. That's typical of what it would look like. This is a stair getting ready to leave. You can see the returns, the open side of it, the cut stringer. Everything's been put together in that stair.